Let's talk Bruno Fernandes. I think we have to, because Bruno Fernandes has been opening up on Portugal duty this week in a press conference ahead of their games for Portugal. I was going to say, what's it called now? The Nations League. That's the one. Yes, got it mixed up a little bit there. But yeah, he's been talking to the national press about his form, what's happening with United, why it's easier playing for Portugal than it is Manchester United, what his thoughts are on his own personal circumstances at the moment, the red cards and everything like that. And I think all Manchester United fans want to know is, and probably we're all guessing right now, is will Bruno Fernandes ever return back to that form that was, well, in most Man United fans' eyes, consistent. Well, the numbers were consistent. Obviously, Bruno has been a bit of a Marmite player for a long time in Manchester United. A lot of fans giving up on him and didn't even rate him when he was in his so-called pomp at the football club. The debate carries on, obviously, and we'll wait and see what happens with Bruno Fernandes. But the interesting thing to come out of the interview, probably more than anything else, was the fact that he finds it easier on international duty with the players and the quality that he's got around him. Was that a little dig at what's going on at United? How are you looking at it? Is he just talking in his own personal terms as well? I think we have to sort of now concentrate a little bit on some of the players' reaction to what's going on the pitch as well. And I think it has to start with the captain, Bruno Fernandes. Everything else has been said about what's going on off the pitch. So what about what's actually happening when that whistle blows? Why are we not talking more about the players and what's going on there as well? Well, I think we will. And I think no matter what happens in the future off the pitch and who is in that dugout and in charge of Manchester United, the players are going to have to answer some questions as well. Are they going to answer them with their feet? Interesting times. What's happening with Kobbie Mainoo as well? Updates on that. Rasmus has been talking. Victor Lindelof has been talking. Also, we've got all of the injury updates and everything else coming out of the international camps and what's been said in this live show Friday evening. The weekend is here, everybody. No drama, no stress this weekend. There is no Man United football, so we're safe. Thankfully, England have already played and that shit was put to bed, and we can concentrate on the Saturday and the Sunday a little bit more with nothing to really, sort of deflate us. That's if you are an England fan. Obviously, there are many multinational? No, that's wrong. Many nationalities within the live chats, and I hope your national teams have done well as well this weekend. I hope so, anyway. And I hope as a United fan you can find some solace in actually watching decent football for your national team. Unfortunately for me, I've got United and I've got England. Honestly, right now, I think England are competing with United to actually be the worst. It's crazy what's going on. But, hey, look, that's a big enough intro. It is Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Welcome along to the live show, everybody. I hope you're doing fantastically well. Hope you're looking forward to the weekend. Please make sure that you keep your comments flying in. Stay watching, stay tuned. Get your thoughts across, as most of you always do. Just pile them comments in, and make sure if you are catching up later on from the live show that you get your comments in below as well. Let's talk Bruno Fernandes then. What has he been saying? He's been opening up on his time at Manchester United recently. He's been talking everything from red cards to his form, what's happening with his teammates and why things are not working out. Obviously, asked more of the sort of damning questions. Now he's over at Portugal. I was going to read through what Bruno's been saying pretty much through his press conference, going on about his moments within them red cards. First of all, when I spoke about the bad moments, it was in relation to the 2 expulsions in the same week, as in 2 red cards, which I thought were unfair. The first was withdrawn. The second, because it was a yellow card. It was not. He didn't think it was a yellow card. But these are things that are part of football, and I can't think about that now. So moving on, Bruno says, I took responsibility for that moment, the red cards, because especially against Tottenham, I let my teammates with one less player chasing the result. That's very true. It's not just, and this is the interesting bit, the one that everyone's talking about right now, it's not just about the national team, which is where I feel increasingly good and where I can enjoy my football due to the dynamics and quality that I have by my side. At the club, I have to improve as soon as I get there. The goals will come, and I also have to take responsibility for that. And you can look at that a couple of ways. A lot of people would say that that's Bruno saying that the quality is better at Portugal than it is at Manchester United. I think what he's saying is, personally, that when he goes to Portugal, everything's moving smoothly, everything's easy for him. There's no issues for him at Portugal right now where they are at Manchester United, but like he just said, they're of his own making at the football club and letting his teammates down with the red cards and everything like that. And I think what he's trying to get is, like, when he gets back, he has to improve his United form. He has to get better at United instantly because it's not been good enough. It's easy for him at Portugal because he's got better dynamics, better players. It's true in every sense. And he can just seamlessly slot in. I don't think it's necessarily him having a jab at the quality of his teammates, although a lot of people would look at it that way. And automatically, I think, or inadvertently, he has pretty much said that the quality is better at Portugal and it's run better. It's easy for an international setup to run well. I mean, you cannot not get it right. You pick the best of what you've got from all over the world for your national team. You come together, you play a few games every month in preparation for a big tournament. And as long as the management's right, as long as the structure's right, there's no reason why a team like Portugal shouldn't be winning things. I don't know how they haven't with the squad that they've got, but when he talks about the quality and everything that's around him there and everything that's at his disposal and the players, the quality, the dynamics and all of that, I just feel like you can see that when Bruno plays. He plays in a different system, a different formation, a different position, even for Portugal. It fits him, it suits him, and as one of the more senior players at Portugal in a team full of absolute quality, he is still holding his own. So I think it's easy for him to say international. And I'm not saying this on Bruno. I'm not saying Bruno's having a go at Ten Hag. I'm not saying Bruno's having a go at United because every international player says the same thing. So it's pointless to bring up Bruno. But the interesting thing in what Bruno Fernandes said was that he needs to improve immediately as soon as he gets back. So he's actually holding his hands up and saying, look, my form for United is nowhere near what it's expected to be. It's nowhere near good enough, especially as a captain. A lot of fans will add to that, especially now, Bruno, that you've got that bleeding contract and you're on absolute megabucks and the most paid player at the football club. I think expectation levels go up again. And unless Bruno does actually return to somewhat of his form, whether that be just in keeping it simple on the pitch or not making as many mistakes, or some people might want him to just keep playing the same game but his numbers go back to where they once was and he's actually putting up decent stats again for United because they've died off this season. Whichever way you look at it, Bruno Fernandes is owning up to saying that he's not in a good place, he's not in good form for United. I think the only thing he's not said is, look, it's not easy at United right now, there's a lot going on. And for a Man United captain, I think it has to start with him. It always has to start with the captain. The captain is just the second voice of the manager. So if we're going to have a go at Ten Hag, we've got to have a go at Bruno Fernandes because he's the one who is the manager's voice on that pitch. He puts everything in place. And to be honest, right now, I think the pair of them both look a little bit chaotic in what Ten Hag's saying and what Bruno Fernandes is doing. So it sort of coincides a little bit, doesn't it, in what I just said. But the one thing that I think everybody can agree with is when he comes back from international duty, Bruno Fernandes needs to get back on the horse very, very quickly and get back to somewhat of his form that we know he has got in him. And he has got quality in him. The debate will always go on, and there's many people who shoot me down for saying that, but you know that he can, on his day, produce the goods. Pretty much like every player. And you could round up everything from every player in that same sort of, in that way, couldn't you? In talking about him in that way. I have got a poll up in the chat right now as well. Do you think Bruno can turn his form around at Manchester United? 54% of you at the moment are saying yes. Keep voting on the poll. If you are playing catch up later on, like we said at the start of the video, after the live, then make sure you get your comments in on Bruno Fernandes. Do you feel like he can return to that form that was hitting them numbers and was helping United stay afloat a lot? Let's not forget, like, the go-to players for Erik Ten Hag, this current manager, are Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. It is quite significant if Bruno Fernandes is not playing well that Ten Hag is going to end up falling off and end up getting the sack. We know it's coming. If Bruno doesn't play well, Ten Hag's system doesn't seem to work. If Rashford doesn't, same thing. Last season, the form of both of these players was massively under the spotlight. And until Bruno really started turning it on towards the back end of the season, you could say he was just having as bad a season as what Marcus Rashford was through most of the start of it. So it needs to change. It needs to change quick. And if your captain's not playing well, your manager's not convincing players on the pitch, you've got a bit of a problem. And I think we're seeing that now in Manchester United. I think we're seeing that in the way that this team is actually performing. And I think that's what we have to look at once we start again. We know what's coming with Ten Hag. We know that it's not going to be the best. We know the football's not great. So unfortunately, we're going to have to drop down and start looking at some of the players to try and dig ourselves out of this hole. So that's where you've got to say it's important to now focus a little bit on the players as well as the manager. Things will happen off the pitch that will determine what happens with the manager situation as we go along now. It's now down to the players when we do return, and I bet you'll see many of brilliant performances from Manchester United players on international duty. A lot better than what they are for Manchester for the club. Interesting to see that there's no England players. No United players in the England squad, and England lose. Sorry, just have to say that. First time in how many years that United haven't had an England player in the squad for an international call-up, and they lose at home to Greece. I'm just saying, like, these players have got something. Under crap management, you can see anything going wrong with a decent squad. Just look at England. There you go. One of them, actually, I'm going to come to the chat actually first on the Bruno side. London, thanks for donating that membership, and that's gone to Millham Gray. Welcome to the members club. Just want to do a quick shout out for all our American friends, especially those on the East Coast, obviously around the Florida area with everything going on with the hurricane and everything happening around that area at the moment. We have one big member who has family right in the heart of it, which is Modern Samurai, who hasn't been on for a few days. We've messaged him privately. He has contacted back. Everything seems okay at the moment. So hopefully everyone who is over stateside, who is in and around the hurricane and what's going on, are all right, and everyone's families are good. Just wanted to shout that out. I should have done that earlier with it just landing and sort of everything going on over there at the moment. But yes, hopefully everyone is okay. I know we do have a lot of subscribers over from the States, and are constantly in the chat as well. So big up to you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully you can ride out the storm and everything can get back to normal as soon as possible. Dana says he should stay in Portugal then because he's average. We're a better team without him. Are we? I don't think we've even seen that, Dana, to be honest. I get what you're trying to say in your argument, but I don't, have we even had a chance to see United without Bruno? I know he was missing for... what games was Bruno missing for? The back end of last season was Palace, 4-0 defeat. Arsenal, 1-0 defeat. So there's 2 games without Bruno where we've not scored. It's hard to argue it, really, isn't it? I mean, I don't think we are better without him. I think we do need to start looking for a replacement and trying to change it up a bit. I'll agree with that. Director of football, I always remember the tunnel video with Bruno speaking to a young player and the reaction of Ronaldo and Bernardo Silva rolling their eyes and trying to hold in their laughter. That's the captain. Well, I don't know what that's about, but honestly, he's talking to a kid. I'm not really bothered about that stuff, to be honest, mate. I'm more bothered about what he does on the pitch. I mean, let's be honest, Ronaldo's not exactly a stand-up for doing stuff off the pitch, is he? In terms of not making a fool out of himself with some of his antics. Dada says, isn't it galling that the Portuguese team he plays in is miles better than United's team? Even if his form is questionable, presently, Bruno Fernandes is absolutely spot on. Okay, I don't think we can talk about Bruno's individual form and things like that, but ultimately, he has made a bit of a point here in saying, look, it's easy for him to operate in a Portugal side which is moving well. It's easy for anyone. You don't have to look at City players or Arsenal players. When someone integrates into their squad or someone does anything in their team or goes into their team, first team that is, it's seamless, isn't it? Because it's running well. I think it's the same in any team. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's international, whether it's club level. Look, as long as everything's running right, anyone coming in will obviously have a better chance of succeeding, and I think that's what we're looking at right now. I think Diallo will look good in a Portugal shirt because he's playing his natural position and his natural role. Bruno will look better in a Portugal shirt. I'll look at probably... Lindelof probably looks all right for Sweden. Rasmus Højlund for Denmark. We talked about Christian Eriksen last time playing for Denmark, having a great international break, and now he's come back from that international break as one of Man United's permanent fixtures in the starting lineup and really turned it around. So really, there is a shout for looking at the international form and just having a look into it. Maybe tap into some of the systems that these players are actually playing in as well. But no, we've got Ten Hag, a whole stubborn ass who won't change it up. Let's get some more in. United Spotlight. Bruno was only good at false 9 last season. He wasn't good in the position he was supposed to play in. He was in certain games, mate. He was. I remember Bournemouth away. Literally dragged the team over the line. Got us a draw in that game. There's a few others as well. Rodders, thanks for that, mate. I really appreciate comments like that. Bruno suits a purely counter-attacking team. He can't play in a possession team. He does for Portugal, who dominate the ball and does well for Portugal, though. I think that's the point, Billy, in this. He can play, but maybe not in the role that he's playing with the responsibilities that he's got at United. Point saying, it's like, Bruno, is he captain? Is there anyone else natural enough to come in, or was there anyone available when Bruno was given the captaincy? Ten Hag trusts him. I think there maybe are different captains at United now that could take the role, but honestly, when it comes to the captaincy, I think it is a bit of a poison chalice, because you look at Maguire's form, it's got better since he was taken off the captain. I guarantee, I don't know what it is with captains at United, but they feel like they need to do more than what they have to. And Bruno needs reining in, big time. It's ridiculous how much he tries to do and isn't punished for by the manager. It's like, just get a hold of him, Eric, and stop him doing the stuff that he's doing. Adam, that's Erik Ten Hag. Major problem. He builds around favouritism, and if his favourites don't perform, he's lost. If Erik Ten Hag would just give the best man for every job a fair chance, he wouldn't be in a mess. It's a fair point, Director of Football. That is a fair point. I agree with that. Because there are other players there that can play the roles that we're talking about of these players now. Bruno Fernandes, I think there's 4 or 5 players that could play in that 10 role right now. Bruno could drop back into an 8. You could play him there if you wanted, or put him on the bench. Nobody at Man United deserves to be playing in that team right now. Not one player. Not one player can stand up and say, I have absolutely smashed it every single game. And I should be very, very confident that I'm going to be on that starting team sheet the following week. Not one player. And if you're scraping the barrel talking about certain players that have performed okay, then that's simply because the rest of the team is dog shit. And that's why you think that player should be in that starting lineup. They are 14th in the league because they're not working as a team. Not one player in that team is a definite starter right now for Manchester United. Not one. They should be ashamed of themselves for being in 14th in the league. The whole setup, the coaches, the manager, the players, they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves right now. And Bruno Fernandes coming out and saying in this interview that he needs to get better straight away when he gets back. No shit, Sherlock, mate. You need to start pulling your finger out, Bruno. You need to start performing for Man United again. But then again, like Director of Football says, if he's not, then what's his level? What's his standard? What's he playing to? Because if he plays shit and then gets put back in the side the following week, then you're just going round in circles. The player knows no punishment or knows no repercussions for performing badly. And that's down to the manager. He needs to take him out. And do you know what? It might work for Ten Hag if he starts mixing it up and taking his favourites out of this side. Whether he's the captain or not, if you're not playing well, you don't stay in the side. Recipe for disaster. And when your job's on the line, I don't know why Ten Hag hasn't even tried it. Crazy. The Realist says that we need to be rid of Erik Ten Hag. Best in class, new manager role. Pick these slackers up by the scruff of the neck and shake them up. New Capitano, maybe. Bruno was also talking about Amorim. And now we had our Double A and Jay on last night, and Double A was setting up Amorim for the Manchester United job, and Bruno was praising him, waxing lyrical, in fact, about Amorim's quality of football, the best attacking football that there is out there at the moment. He did cautiously say, could he transform it when the question was asked into the Premier League? You'll have to wait and see. There's no way of knowing. There's no reason why he wouldn't, but there's no way of knowing until you actually try it. So it would be good to see Amorim in the Premier League. Someone made a great comment earlier on, actually, about trying to get Amorim in if we are going to change a manager before City go sniffing around, because Pep Guardiola is going to be out of a job this summer. It looks like the writing's on the wall there. Should United go all in and try and get that next manager? Interesting. Don't forget, guys, the United Couple podcast, episode 23, is out at 8 o'clock tonight. So if you haven't, go over, subscribe to the channel. I've pinned the link to the channel up in the live chat right now. Go and check it out. We also have another poll running right now in the chat. We've changed it up. Oh, hang on a minute. It's just gone off my screen. What game was or is most important for Eric to win? FA Cup final against City, Brentford next weekend. Crazy to think that when we're talking about a man's survival as a manager every game now, because this is what it's being based on. I don't think it should be, but this is what we're being told. Because he got a good result against Villa, he keeps his job. So he needs to get another good result against Brentford. So is that the same game again? This is why I had an issue with the Villa game being built up to be the saviour, and this is why Ten Hag keeps his job. It's not. It'll just move on to the next game, and then we're pressure cookering all of that game. And Brentford at Old Trafford, when United are expected to do more, and they can't park the bus and try and stink the place out and get a decent draw. They have to go for a win, and that's when United are at their weakest, as we know. So, I didn't like the Villa game being built up to be this one. It's just going to move on to the Brentford game. If anything happens in that, it'll move on to the next one. This is where we're at right now with it. I'm talking about a manager playing a game to save his job. It's embarrassing to be in that position. It really is embarrassing. But that's what the media have built. That's what a lot of the fan base have built up as well. I'm not having it. Decisions need to be made off the back of consistency and the overall bigger picture rather than a few games. I honestly like the few games this season. They haven't even gone well. So still, FA Cup final kept him in the job. Brentford keeps him in the job. They're probably both the same vote, really, in theory. But it's crazy to think that we're in the same position again. And I don't see how it's going to change either. Is it just going to be week after week now? I don't know. It's a weird one. It is a weird one. We have a super chat from Alex. Thank you, Alex. I'm convinced there is something in Bruno's contract stating he has to play regardless of form. I think most people would say him, Rashford, on that sort of side of things. I don't think there is. It would absolutely destroy me if any United fan, in fact, I think it would destroy you if we found out that there are stipulations in contracts for players that say they have to play no matter what and they have to play a certain amount of games. That would be the end of Man United if that was the case. Absolute disgrace. It really would be. Guest says, despite our terrible form, I want to watch some football. Remind me of this when I complain how bad we are. We always miss football, Guest. That's the problem. Unfortunately, international duty will only take you so far. And if you're an England fan, not very far. Good God. In my honest opinion, Xerxes can play number 10, support striker, but I think that's also the issue. United actually need the third midfielder, a.k.a. the cam, which Xerxes isn't. It's Erik ten Hag's own self-created issue. A few people actually replying to that super chat as well there. Favoritism it is, says Sanil as well. Ivan is in the chat. Have to score 3 against Brentford. Also not concede more than 2. Yeah, that's the problem. Adam, it's a joke. A club our size, living week to week, this wouldn't happen in Sunday League. No, it wouldn't. Well, actually, it does happen in Sunday League, but you know what I mean. Why are we dropping our levels and our standards to that? That's the embarrassing thing. I do think things will take care of themselves off the pitch. What Ten Hag does on the pitch, God only knows. I don't know which way it's going to go. It could go either way. Anyway, moving on to some good news that is circulating, and that is that Kobbie Mainoo apparently is close to signing a new contract with a pay rise. I asked this question last season. I asked it when Kobbie Mainoo was at the height of his form. Should we be offering Kobbie Mainoo a new contract? He's a Manchester United lad. He's already on a 5-year deal on 10 grand a week at the age of 18. Should we be looking to give Kobbie Mainoo more money? I asked that question last season. Now, at the start of this season, you get into the comments and let me know, everybody. After Kobbie's form and seeing a bit of a drop-off, naturally, as you'd expect, with him possibly carrying an injury and the expectation levels being so high and hard to reach again, because he did hit some heights last season, Kobbie, and he will be back. I'm pretty confident he will be back into form. But are you not concerned a little bit that Kobbie Mainoo has dropped off and Manchester United, after one season, and yes, he broke into the England team, but Kobbie Mainoo's had one season in the Premier League, not even that, like 2/3 of his season because of his injury early doors. Were we not jumping the gun when this kid has already got a 5-year contract that he's into now, only 1 year into? Should we have not jumped the gun and give him a bigger bumper contract? Depending on what it is. If it's sensible, then I don't see us having an issue. If it's sensible from this point and he's on that for the next, 6 or 7 years, which it looks like these contracts are being done. Like Garnacho hit about 50k, didn't he, I think, on a 5-year deal. Would it be fair to give Kobbie Mainoo that similar sort of contract? I mean, that's what you've got to look at in all of this, I feel like. Is it just going to match up to Garnacho? But there may be some fans, and you get into the chat and let me know, that feel like this is just typical Man United. This is the Januzaj effect, the Brandon Williams effect, the Kiko Makeda effect. All of these players that we hyped up after one season and one decent season and started giving out ridiculous contracts. Do we need to be careful with it, is the question I'm asking. Cheers for all the likes, people. We just hit the 100 mark on the likes, or just about to anyway. Keep them flying in. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel as well to miss out on no news. I brought you the news around Thomas Tuchel earlier on. That was the midday video, so go and check that out after you've finished this one. We have had hundreds of comments on that video, as you can expect and imagine. So go and have your say on there. Go and have a little battle with someone who's got a different opinion on the Tuchel story and what's happening there. Everyone, I think it is a full-on 50-50 split going on that story right now, but still. Yes, 100%. Otherwise, Pep is going to get him at City. As in, who? Kobbie Mainoo? Leo? I don't think so. Michelle says he is a really good player, but he isn't being played in the proper midfield. That's a good point. He's a young lad. They have ups and downs. I think there's a few messages from Leo there. I might have read the wrong one at the wrong time there. Sorry, mate. Give him a rise, but not a crazy amount. Need to keep him hungry to succeed. Which is what I mean. It's like everyone was going in about the value of Euro, his age, and what Man United were going to offer him wage-wise. We blew Real Madrid out of the water, apparently, in terms of wage structure, what we was offering Euro. But the way I looked at it was, if you give him a sensible amount that's taken him into the age of 23, 24 even, when they're starting to hit their peak, and at the age of, like, say, for instance, 22, 23, and they're absolutely smashing it, and they're only on, like Garnacho is, 50 grand a week. Kobbie Mainoo very similar. I think Lenny Yoro, I think he's on a bit more, obviously, because we had to entice him in, which doesn't sound good on its own, but Lenny Yoro's on a massively long contract, and his wage won't move for a long, long time. If he's absolutely killing it, then you're not bothered about them wages going up to like the 150 a week, nearly getting to 200 grand a week mark higher. The structure works well in that way for me, because I look at it this way and say, look, they're on these low wages now. Well, so we say low. It's ridiculous saying that, but you know what I mean, compared to the rest of the world. They're on the 50 to 100 grand a week wage, say, for instance, for the next 6 years. That takes these players into their early 20s to mid-20s. And they're absolutely smashing it. You've got everyone after him, and you've got room then to offer him a better wage or sell them on. Football business. This is something that United have never done, and one thing that was bigging up in the summer about what United were doing with these contracts. Making sure that they weren't astronomical wages, they were fair, and that within the market value for that player and what they've achieved and their experience. And then when it comes to releasing the player, it's easy to get rid of the player because they're not on astronomical wages. Look, if Yoro or Mainoo or Højlund or Garnacho have got to the end of their deals and they're absolutely destroying it, and they deserve a pay rise, then they get a pay rise, and that will only then be the next step up, which is what, 120, 150 grand a week. If it's worth more and they're absolutely smashing it and you've got Real Madrid knocking on the door, then you've got room, haven't you? You've got room to actually big up that wage even more. Or he gets sold for a massive amount of money. Again, sensible football business. Let's see what else we've got in the chat. Some more comments in, everybody, please. Mainoo needs coaching by an elite manager and system. 1 year of adult football isn't enough to be judged like a full pro. Mainoo is unlucky to have come in under Erik ten Hag. Louis van Gaal would have been ideal. I mean, Marcus Rashford came in under Louis van Gaal by mistake. He could not mistake. Like, it was needs must want it. And could you say that he is now at the right level, coach-wise? Like, I think Rashford's natural ability has carried him so far. I don't think Rashford's been coached well at all, personally, looking at his progression. I don't think he's got any better. I don't. I'm going back to the early days, like when he turned... oh, God, what's the leading Liverpool fullback's name? Now it's completely left my mind. Not Calvert-Lewin, but he... Oh, my God. Someone tell me in the chat, please. But you know who I mean. When he turned him inside out and scored the goal against Liverpool... and I don't think he's got any better from that. I think Rashford's like training, coaching, whatever you want to call it. I think it's been shit. I really do. I think it's been diabolical. And I look at it, and that's a player there that is proof that it's not worked out because of what's happened at Manchester United and the disruption that's going on behind the scenes. And I'm worried that these younger players are going to go down the same road. We've already seen it with the likes of Williams. The players that do succeed are the ones that leave, funnily enough. I mean, you look at Alvaro right now. There was a story going around earlier on that United could be buying him back. I can't see that happening anytime soon unless another manager comes in. Only reason we got him is because of wages. Wouldn't stand a chance if we offered same wage in terms of Euro. I think you're saying there, Sibbe. I think it was... I've not got an issue with the Euro contract. I haven't. I don't think it's astronomical. He is a quality player, and that's going to stay the same for 6 years. So it's not going to cost as well. He's getting better. So, yeah, if you just look at it that way, I feel. Some more comments coming in here. Awful, Ten Hag, no trust. Young players from under 21 to under 18s. Only old glories in decadence like Casemiro, Eriksen. For that Ten Hag is terrible. Rasmus Højlund has come out and also said that he is taking his time in terms of returning from injury. He's lost a bit of weight. He sees the benefits in that. Lindelof has also come out and said he's happy to be back playing. I hope he's gone in the summer. In fact, we know he is going in the summer. Again, more players from Manchester United that have just been here too long. But we may need Victor Lindelof in the next few weeks with what's happening with the injuries. Like we discussed in this morning's show as well. The defensive injury crisis which continues at Manchester United. That is your roundup, everybody. That is your evening roundup. I'm not going to keep you too long. It is Friday night. Hopefully you're all going out or getting on with stuff and enjoying yourselves on this football-free, stress-free weekend with no United. I will be back in the morning with your morning update, though, at 8 o'clock to kickstart the weekend. So make sure you're tuned in for that one. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the new subscribers, everybody who has liked the video, everyone with your comments. Make sure that you do continue to drop your comments in below. Don't forget, United Couple is out at 8 o'clock tonight, everyone. Don't forget to go over, click on the link in the live chat now, subscribe, and get that watched as well. But that is it for me for now. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you all in the morning, 8 o'clock sharp. Don't forget it. Be there. Oh, don't be square, but you know what I mean anyway. See you in a bit, everybody. Have a great evening.